Hey everybody, Mr. K back, and we're going to continue street glide repair. And I got some of my parts here. We got some S&S cams. I went ahead and got the S&S 509C, which means chain drive, for my street glide. It's supposed to give you a little more power and torque, but still be able to use your stock push rods, heads, and everything else. So that's what we could afford right now. I got the installation kit, which is really nice. It comes with the cam support bearings, the gasket, the oil pump O-ring, and the other O-rings you need, the inner bearings, which we're going to go ahead and pull out today. All right, we're ready to at least go back. I'm still waiting on a gasket kit and some other, probably a commander kit I believe I have coming. All right, so this is where we're at. We'll come back over and we'll get ready to go ahead and pull these inner cam bearings. Okay, and there they are. There's our O-rings for our pump, and you always want to make sure you always put a new O-ring in there. Okay, and here's our tool to pull that out. I'm not a salesperson, but I know Jim's always makes really good quality tools, so this is a great tool to have. This is for a twin cam. Okay, let's see if I can put you in over here and show you if I can do that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this tool, and it comes apart. Take the washer, the nut off, and the washer, save it for later. And this comes out like that, and then you have your center stud rod. Okay, and gives us a little extra lighting here. Okay, so first thing you want to do is make sure that your tool is clean. Always want to do that. Never want a dirty tool. And we're going to put a little bit of assembly lube on the inner slide as we're putting that in there. Okay, that's what keeps these flanges from collapsing in and allow us to pull the bearings out. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Assembly lube. All right. Assembly lube. Okay, so first off, we make sure that this is nice and clean. Go ahead and slip that right in there like this. Now, you might have to tap it in there like that. And now you can see that it's pulling out. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of assembly lube here. And put it on the tool so it slips in there nice and easy. Okay, now we take our outer, slide it over, keeping a little bit of tension, and our washer and the nut. Putting that on there. This is my first try with a tripod, so we're going to see how it works. Okay, and you get this nice and tight. Okay, so we're going to come over and we're going to use the adjustable wrench here. Keep the tool from turning. And then I have an 1 1/8 inch wrench, and we'll go ahead and tighten that up. And you can feel at first, it's coming, keep dropping that light. It'll take a little bit of time to get that out of there. You want to make sure you have a good quality tool, because you sure don't want nothing to happen to your cases. And we're almost out. And there we're out. So we'll go ahead and pull that out. And you can see that our bearing, I'll go ahead and spin this out of there. And there is our bearing. You can see that. I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. Take the tool back apart again. Slide the outer off. And then your bearing is there. Okay, so one thing too, as you can see, these are the old bearings. They're not a very good bearing, and you can see how there's a lot of spaces in between the rollers. The S&S bearings, the update bearings, have rollers continuously all the way around, so it gives you a lot more support as opposed to this. Also too, you can see the back side is kind of rounded and the front side is kind of flatter. You always want that flat side facing out. Just that's what they say, and that's how you can get the bearings back out of there. Okay, so that one bearing is out. You can take a look and see at where it is. There's this old one in there still, and you can see that one's in there. That one's gone. Case looks good. So we're going to go ahead and do the other side. I'll be back. Okay, as you can see, we got both inner cam bearings out. Everything looks good. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to install the new ones. And I'll show you the new ones. Again, these are our old ones, where they have a lot of space in between the rollers. That's what started to fail and took the metal off my cams. These are the new ones, and you can see there's no space in between. They're right on each other, so it gives a lot more support. So what we're going to do is always make sure we got the rounded side goes in, the flat numbered side stays out. So they're going to go inside of there, and I'm going to use a driver. And before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and throw these bearings into the freezer, and that'll shrink them up a little bit so that they'll go in easier. And I'll be back. Okay, as you can see, we got the new bearings in there. They're all fit in there nice. Okay, and what you want to do is you always want to make sure to give yourself a nice squirt of snot on there, or assembly lube. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put that on there, and then we're going to start going over here and working on the cams. Now we're going to get the cams out of this plate. So first thing we're going to do with that is we're going to go ahead and take this shoe tensioner off. And you can see here how I have the shoe back and pinned. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to do that with this secondary shoe. And go ahead and pin it back. And then once the chain's loose, we'll be able to start removing the cams. So I'm going to try and do this with one hand, or maybe not. There's a circlip right there that we're going to take off. We get a new one in the S&S kit. This one will pretty much come out. And you want to make sure, you can see there's a line there, and there's a line just there. When you get these things set in there right, they're going to line up. Okay. All right. Alrighty. Well, we got the cam bearings in, and I went ahead and with two hands, I put the cam plate and cam back in and put all the bolts back in and tightened it to 90 inch-pounds. Put the circlip back on the new one. And as you can see, when I was reinstalling, or when I was removing the tensioner shoe, it broke. And that's a bummer. So I went ahead and I ordered a new tensioner shoe. It was like $10. So I'm kind of stopped on that until I can get a new tensioner shoe. So that's where I'm at. The cams went in nice. New oil pump O-rings, and getting close. I thought everything was going to go well, but yeah, well, there's always some hiccup somewhere. So once we get the new tensioner shoe, I'll be able to put that in. I'll be able to put the chain gear set back on. S&S gives you a new bolt in the kit. Two, when you're always taking these off, I always like to mark the chain so that way I know that's originally the way it was on the gears. If you just take everything apart, throw it on the bench, you may get that chain on there the wrong way. So I always put a little, I get a paint marker, mark a link, and that way I know that this chain faces out. Okay. We're going to get tappet block gaskets and put all that stuff in, and I am still waiting on a top end gasket set. And we'll be able to put our stock push rods back in there. So it shouldn't be too long, and it should be back up and ready to go. Oh, also I got to throw in there, I'm going to just stay with my original exhaust. We had this one tigged. So a good friend of mine, heck of a welder, tigged it up for me. And I told him I would throw him out there. He's the Paranormal Griddler. And heck of a good cook too. So check him out, Paranormal Griddler. If you're into cooking some good food, he'll help you out there. So, all right, just waiting on some parts, and I'll be back. Okay, got one tappet block back in there. Lifters are back in, and we're going to go ahead and get the other one in. Make sure that you prep your gasket surfaces nice and clean. I always like to clean all the hardware, and then I'm going to use a little blue dot, not a lot, just a little couple of dots on the threads of these lock bolts for Loctite, so they keep them from vibrating out. Also too, you want to clean up your lifters, checking them for scores. You want to check the rollers and see how they look. See if I can get it into focus. Okay, I'm going to coat these wheels with assembly lube and then assembly lube on the sides, and then they go in a specific way. Also too, watch where your oil feed hole is. Okay, on these, when I took them out, they were facing out. Okay, so when I go to put it back in, I'm going to make sure that that oil feed hole is the same way. Okay. Okay, see, so I have one lifter all nice and assembly lubed up throughout the whole wheel, and a nice coat on the sides. And I'm going to go ahead and install that with our bleeder hole facing out. Okay, it should slide right in there, nice, and it does, nice. And you'll notice that on these lifters, there's flats. Okay, and that's what this is for. This pin, it keeps those from rotating, so you want to install that into the slot. And now, this one's up on a lobe, but now those lifters cannot turn. And when you put the tappet blocks on, those little arms right here, they keep that pin from coming up. Okay, so next what we're going to do is get this tappet block all nice and cleaned, get its gasket surface cleaned and off, get the old gasket off there. Also too, I got with the kit a nice new set of O-rings that I'm going to put in the tubes, and I'll see you when we get back. Okay, new shoe tensioner came in. Everything's on. Chain is facing out. Cleaned up the bolt, put a touch of red Loctite on there, 34 foot-pounds. And the new bolt that came with the S&S kit, put a touch of red Loctite on that, and we're at 24 foot-pounds. And everything's lined up. So I got my push rods tubes all cleaned up and tappet blocks in. Okay, so now we're getting ready. We're going to go ahead and install the rocker boxes with the stock push rods. And a couple things I wanted to show you on this. Here's my new one. When you're installing these new gaskets, and here's a new gasket they're like a little bit of a tin. If you just throw it up there and you don't pay much of attention, you got to watch. See this breather trail right here? Okay, there's a breather trail, a little tunnel on the gasket. So when you put that on there, you got to make sure that it all lines up. Okay, as you can see that. Because if you can install it wrong like this. If you install it wrong, everything lines up, but you can see that breather, let's see if it gets into focus, is open. That's no good. Okay, so you want to make sure you get that thing in there right. Just thought I'd tell you that little tidbit of information. So we got the new rocker box, or the old one cleaned up like new. Got all the gasket surfaces nice and clean. And now we're ready to put a new O-ring in there, and we have all the new breather stuff coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and install that. And I'm going to install the outer cover. And then pretty much by that time, I'll be getting the exhaust back on, and I'll be right back after all that's on. Okay guys, everything's back together. Looking nice. Got new exhaust, new rocker box gaskets, all new pushrod tubes, O-rings, new cams, bearings. I'm reusing my tensioners because they don't look almost new. Maybe later, if we can get the update, we'll do that this summer. Waiting for my, I'm going to get an S&S air filter, and we're going to go ahead and put our exhaust back on. Alrighty. Okay, got everything back, exhaust on. And while I'm waiting for my new air filter, I just put the old one on just to... Got the new exhaust on. Got the new bracket clamp on. Got everything back together. Getting ready to fire it up, see how it does. And the battery was low, so we're going to charge it for a while. Got my duals all on. Back in here with my new welded pipe. Fuel tank on. Let's keep it this way. So, it's looking real good. So in recap, these are all the things that I had to replace. Also too, I've been noticing that I've been getting a lot of debris, oil, grease buildup out in my air cleaner area. So I was putting the air cleaner, the old one, back on, and I noticed this is all torn. See that? I don't know if you can see that, but it's all ripped. And so it was allowing the, when it was running hard and breathing, it was blowing it all outside of my air filter. So, and there's my old clip that we replaced. There's my cams, all my pushrod O-rings and tappet gaskets. And remember, the reason why was because of this, those bearings. And then all my rocker boxes and cam cover gasket and all that. Also too, when I was in there, it came with new breather filters. So I put new ones in. As you see, they were pretty dirty. And of course my bearings that caused all this issue. All right. So once we get the battery charged up, I'll go ahead and fire it up, and then we'll be done. Okay. Okay, doesn't sound too bad, a little clicky at first, but the lifter's filled up, the oil pressure light went out. Looks good. So part 2 of Mr. K's Street Glide is done. Whenever I get my S&S air cleaner, I'll do a video on how to install it, plus with my tuner. So that was that. I hope that was informative. If you ever need any help, you can always just give me a buzz, and I'll help you out, or with any special tools or anything like that. So, all right, I'm happy. I'm excited for good weather, and we can get to ride this baby. All right, everybody have a good day.